So, I mean, when we look at what concepts of being political, like one thing that I'm relating a lot to is Jean Rancière, the French philosopher, who has written about what does it mean to be political. And one of the things that is most important is to actually recognize that there is a dissent between people. Like we do not agree on everything. Like, I mean, um, even between best friends or within siblings, you do not agree on every single detail. And it's between those differences that we start to discuss and find common ground, to find compromise, to find a solution or a way forward in a sense. And that is something that is not, at least not within the art market. Like, I mean, I used to work with Peter Kirchmann. He has an incredibly political program. Like Teresa Margolles, for example, who has a very deep interest into the governmental violence or institutional violence in Mexico with the drug war and everything. And it's an incredibly complex issue. And I mean, I owe a lot to Teresa in understanding art and the politics of art and politics through art. And I also respect I also respect how Peter, for example, is so indebted or so invested in Teresa. Like he actually cares about what she has to say and what she does and has been supporting her for, I don't know, 30 years by now.
The idea of off spaces is something that I think is quite interesting because I guess you will be able to tell this better, but tell us about this better, but there is somewhat of a bigger political expression because there are no boundaries of a um, gallery space or something that is under the government, and you're only allowed to kind of put through a filtered mindset or filtered piece of work. So I wonder what you think about off spaces and whether they're used for the best expression or whether they're misused for art that might not necessarily mean much to like. I'm really curious to know how this works because it's such a high contrast because you're putting maybe an amateur or maybe somebody who's not even relevant to arts or doesn't have an understanding of arts in a position of power. And I wonder how that goes about. Like, um does it work as the audience, or maybe because you've also worked within an off space with a group of people? I wonder how that goes. How is the control like, and what are the outcomes of it?
I mean, I think it needs some qualification. Like, I found it really interesting what you just said about Lahore just only now getting an off-space scene and it being experienced as a space for a free political expression or freer. I mean, I don't know the gradients, but it kind of like spaces for freedom in a sense. We could summarize. I mean, it's interesting because there are a lot of concepts that relate art and freedom to each other, and I'm not sure whether it's always that clear. I actually would disagree whether it's that clear in different because I would also qualify that because I would say that in a context where an art space is actually offering a space to express certain stuff that can be expressed in the newspaper or in the big institutions, and yes, we are experiencing freedom. But in a place where you can express whatever you want in the newspaper, like Switzerland, I mean, unless it's, insulting people, you don't need, it's not equating to freedom anymore because you already got it outside of the space.